think you were private. He said it's a public.
Oh, it was private?
Yeah. Who's in this?
Oh, privacy unlimited, it said that. I can't go change that here. I don't even know what that was. Oh, this is public now, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, alright. Maybe a little bit delayed till sort of one of the things where it goes on there. There's probably a little bit of a delay from what I'm saying where it goes on there. I think we're good now again, though. So, I think we're good to run again now. So yeah, just a little technical difficulties as we're jumping back in. We have to doing this little engraving right now on the top of this part. And then it's going to be doing some chamfering. And then the face mill comes back over right at the end to kind of just clean up the face where the chamfer maybe left a little bit of burr, where it's going to actually run at the same depth that it did at the start of the program. And it kind of stations that tool then to be ready to start the next part as well. And then right after this Op 1 run, we'll go over and go show what we're running on the Op 2 over to the left of it. And while that's running, I can show kind of how to do some of the fixturing that we got going on for the parts. So it looks like the engraver's almost done. You can see again over at the simulation here, it's almost all red. Pretty much show that the part's almost completely done running. So now I'm just going to come back to that face mill change, and then just skim the part. Oh no, so after the spot drill is done, my bad, the drill comes in, but it's going to still drill and tap it before that face mill comes in at the end of the program. So right now it's doing the drill, does a little peck cycle, still doing the 4 holes. We just got that drill in a standard drill truck folder. Now it's going to come in and do the rigid tapping. One of the nice things about going like with the MX machines over the M series is you can do the rigid tapping like this. Tap is probably done about like 400 or so holes now. So get some good tool life out of it. It is just aluminum, but it's nice to be able to run a tool for quite a while. So yeah, now the face mill is going to come in, and then we'll be able to go run Op 2. And while Op 2 is running, I'll be able to show some of that fixturing that we got going on for Op 2. So that's what we got running for Op 1. So we started off with 1 bar of stock, and what we're doing is kind of making 2 parts out of it. So and again, to get that part out of there, we're going to unlock these screws, and that's going to loosen up the hold on it, and we'll be able to pull it right out of there. I'm going to load the next part in to just kind of prep it, but then we'll go show how we would fixture up the Op 1 to run on Op 2. So I guess before we start running Op 2, it'll make sense to just kind of show what we got going on for the fixturing here. I got my fixturing set up over kind of on a little table here. So what we got here is this bar. It's got the 4 tapped holes in it. got the 4 holes that it lines up with here. This is going to go to this face like that. And then we're going to be putting 4 quarter 20 holes, or 4 quarter 20 screws in the counter bores here on the back side. So I'll do that here in a second, but that's that's what we got here in the machine. So the one in the machine is kind of already locked down through those quarter 20 holes. And then the fixture bar itself is held down through some half 13s, which are here and here. So the part gets held down from under, and then the fixture gets held down from the top. So now I'm just going to load our program over here, where we got, just going to go into our file page, go hit Op2, and then we'll be able to see the simulation change to our Op2 over here, just to make sure we got the right thing. You can get that visual reference there. So position this again, and we're going to go for Op2. Just to keep some of the coolant off the window for the face mill. And here in between the next tool, I'll wipe off the window here, get a little bit of a better visual for what's going on. And then this thing's going to kind of do the same thing here for Op2, where the end is going to come in and start full slotting to kind of split the parts like in half. And then it's going to do the adaptive roughing for the stamp shapes that are going to be going onto the top of them. So, and especially in aluminum, when you're full slotting, I really like to run coolant, just because aluminum can get kind of gummy and bog down the tool. If you're doing adaptive, it's not as bad because there's room for like the chip to evacuate, but when you're doing the full slotting, it kind of can get gummy and stuck in there a little bit easier, unless you guys really look at the product. Fixture here. Kind of take our Op1, see if I can get it on view here as I'm doing it. I normally try to kind of line up the 2 first on the outside. Easier to do when you got kind of a table support too. But so once I get 1 in there, it'll kind of rotate like that, so it's still, it has that one kind of keep it in place, but then once I get that second one in there, then it's not really moving at all, and I can drop these other 2. And the reason I like having 2 screws here is that, so if I'm doing adaptive roughing and say I only had 1 screw here and no other way of like, essentially no other referencing, they would, the part would be prone to rotating if I only had 1 screw there. When it went to go do the adaptive roughing, it could essentially grab the part and undo the screw. So when you got 2 there, it kind of prevents that from happening. Yeah, so the Op1 then will get fixtured onto the bar like that. And then these fixture bars have the 2 pinholes here for actually locating into the same place on that fixture plate every time. So this can now, essentially, you could prep a bunch of these and plop them all in. And how we were running it at the show, like you can kind of see here, I'll open it up in a second. So you can see we had like the multiple bars running, and I had it set up where it's actually running the entire tray at once, but for the runtime of that would essentially just be running the entire time of this live, so I was kind of just doing the Op1, Op2 setup going on. But the idea would be is you really only have to program the 1 part, and how I had it, give me a second, I'll blow off so I can reference some colors here. So if you can see some of the colors I got in here, the green, the yellow, the purple, the blue. If you go over and then look at my offset page, give me a second. Well, actually, I'd have to wait for the program to stop running. But after this program's done running, I'll go to my offset page and show how I actually have different colors referencing. But the idea would be all those fixture bars, I only program the one part. I only program one part, and then I tell it to use my multiple offsets to essentially then program multiple parts off of just a single program, or a single part program. So we're just going to finish running that. Right now, it just got done doing the profile and the square shape for the stamps that we're going to be making over on the left-hand side there. So now that chamfer tool is going to come back in, do some engraving and some chamfering again. Actually, I think a little tiny end mill comes in because we got a star shape. Which tool comes in here first? Yeah, so we got that star shape. I have a little tiny end mill come in for getting, kind of doing the rest machining and getting the little corners kind of taken out. So for this one, to get the kind of sharper corners in there, instead of using the big tool that I start with, I do have a smaller tool kind of come in there to get those sharper corners, those sharper interior radius corners. And yeah, so that one's done running, so now that chamfer is going to come in and be doing the engraving on it. I just had optional stop still on, so I just hit the start button in between tool changes right now, so I have the ability to pause it in between if I wanted to. And it's really nice with how it's kind of all designed. Just the location of the tapped holes themselves are actually enough to locate the part accurately for Op 2 for what we got going on. So the fixture bar, the pinhole in the fixture bar, getting the fixture bar on location is like what's kind of the critical dimensions. And then the tapped holes, as long as that fixture bar gets into its right location, those tapped holes are going to be located well enough to give us location on the part. And then same with like Op 1, you could kind of stage if you wanted to maybe run multiple Op 1s and stage that in a different way. But you could theoretically, you know, prep a whole bunch of these fixture bars, which is kind of like what we had at Texas. So I can just take all of these ones out of the machine really quickly, you know, pop them back down or whatever, have a whole tray ready to just pick up and go like load right into the machine. That would be kind of the idea of using the fixture tray. So yeah, it's doing some little, I got doing some little engravings down, does like Tormach 1100 MX kind of. I take a little end mill and kind of clean up the face of it to be able to see the engraving a little bit better past the adaptive tool path. So then after that one's done, I believe it's gonna have the end mill come back in, clean up the engraving that I was just talking about on those steps. And then after it cleans up those, the face mill will come back in one more time. Kind of the same thing, that face mill comes in at the end and just clean up those. and I'll show how we're pulling off the parts after this one as well. Kind of how we get that one in and out of the machine. So still gotta wait for this face mill to come over. Again, after this face mill done running, I'll blow off the tray again, reference the offsets and the color that I was talking about, and how you could kind of keep a nice visual setup and remember what you got going on for being able to program this stuff really easily. Alright, so if you see, I got the colors here. Got like green, yellow, purple, blue, and I even got like a blue and purple over here. If I had more colors, I would have used more colors, but. So if we go to our work offset page, you can actually see here that, and so what I'm using to program it easily to make it a little bit more simple, I got down here in my software, and I can go reference this in a minute. I'm just telling it to start at essentially offset 20, and then to run six consecutive offsets from there. So I have it run green, yellow, purple left, blue right, purple right. So if you can see in the machine, it actually makes it like an efficient manner where it's going green, yellow, purple, blue, blue, purple. So it kind of, it's programmed to go in the like efficient manner through those colors. And then you can see that I even kept like different offsets kind of saved as backups, where that's a nice way to do. And for reference, if you look at some of these, where blue left and blue right, you know, they have the exact same Y location because of how that fixture tray is set up. Those fixtures are aligned essentially perfectly in X to where they're going to keep that same X location. And then you see this, or Y location. Then same thing with X over here, where essentially that first column is going to maintain the same X location, and the second column is going to maintain the same X location. And then same for rows are going to be the Y locations. And then I got white as essentially my like op1 offset. So that way, in case I just like forget, like, you know, if I just had something random here, like, oh, this part, like, I wouldn't necessarily know exactly where that one was fixtured in the machine, essentially. And this way I could pull all the fixtures out of the machine, keep those little color knobs in there, and know how to set like everything back up perfectly in the future. So and then how we're taking these ones out and putting them in. Let me see if I can get a better reference here. Alright. So yeah, these ones are just some half 13s down through the top. And I probably could have made the fixtures where they had like a press fit pin or something that like the pin stayed in the fixture. Because as I was running it, I even noticed like a flaw in my design where when it slip fit in both, you'll see it here as I pull it out, the pins can kind of just stick into the bottom of the fixture, which it's not a big deal, but sometimes, you know, if your hands are slippery, they can be harder to get out. So like I could have essentially designed something in here where the pins are either press fit or even just milled a boss onto there to where it would have essentially stayed static to eliminate that problem in the future if I wanted to. Where like even that one, yeah, a little bit more difficult to get out. But then we're going to take those screws that we just had from that last one, and same idea. Now this one's kind of pre-opped, just ready to pop right in there. Pop the 2 screws in there. And then again, it's located, not moving anywhere because of those pin holes that we got in there. Okay, so that one's ready to go. Now we can do op1 and op2 again. So I'm going to run one on the op1 over there because we don't got kind of anything prepped for running another op2 yet. So again, really nice and simple. So if we ever want to make sure what we're running, we got this over here. Like you can see that we're very clearly on op 2. Go to our file page. And now we got op 1 loaded, and we know we're good to go then. So as this op 1's running, I'm gonna maybe jump over and Fusion and kind of show some of the setup and what we got going on for them. And yeah, if anyone has any questions on the P, anything specific on the center. Yeah, so the fixture plate will center all the fixtures based on the pinholes in them. I'm gonna turn off op stop here to just let that run. So yeah, these pinholes right here are gonna be actual dowel pin locations that I made to like a very close tolerance, and that they're gonna line all up with the fixture. And I was gonna pull up the fixture kind of setup over on like my CAD software in a second here. So yeah, you can see here now. There we go. Oh, we had our fixture plate set up. I actually had 8 in there, but I pulled these 2 right here. Now after I got the bike set up. Yeah, so the 354. So yeah, that's exactly. So like right now, where my bike is. Programmed them all like that, and I saw my it kind of alternates for you all like that. So really, then yeah, it's when I actually go over like my op here. So the idea is when I program this part, I base everything off that same type of center. So as long as I, load my part on the center right there, I'm kind of basing everything off of that. Things like that. This is kind of my other op that I have running for op 2. I had my other one in a different file, so yeah, for the Tormach Technical. But yeah, that was kind of different stuff I was doing. You can even see some of the stuff thing from, we were at Solidworks World in Texas, and that's where the design originally kind of was created for that show. Now back to the scene. So yeah, now back to the spot drill. And I'm going to be coming in, doing the drilling and tapping after the all the engraving again. And yeah, so I can actually go, maybe 1 second while I'm back in there, and I can reference on the actual manufacturing side of stuff. So over on this setup, if I go into the setup page right here, hit edit, that's where I go into my post-processing here. That's where right now I'm starting at 20. And because I'm only doing the one part, like now that I'm talking about it, not the whole tray, if I wanted to run all 6, I would go multiple here, and then 6 and offset increments by 1. So that's going to run 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. side. So that's the way of kind of like where I only programmed the one part, but this is where then that's how I can rotate it. And then actually the idea is how I got all those zeros in my fixture tray is that, if I pull up my fixture tray again, all that I really needed, and I'll go show it, I actually have a little red, plug in this one, and all that I needed to do is find that red plug, like the center of one hole, and then the center of all these are then based incrementally off of that one location. So really I only needed to find one location on the fixture tray, and as long as I design all my fixtures around locating on that fixture tray, I don't ever actually have to find the location of those fixtures. And then after this one's done running here, it should be in a second, then I can go show what we're actually doing with the stamp and pull one of those parts off that we just had from Op 2. So and again, something kind of unique with how the setup is, and as long as, say we had a part like for prototyping like we're doing right now, how I had these parts, we were running something different down in Texas, I was just able to open my file, kind of change some geometry around, you know, just repost out the tool paths to the different geometry, and essentially everything was still set up to run like an entirely different part without changing really anything at the machine. I didn't have to change any tool offsets, any work offsets, or anything of that sort. Same thing, as long as I'm basing kind of off of those fixture bars, I could put a giant piece of stock onto one of those fixture bars and hold down through those tap holes and essentially kind of run it the same way as long as I'm basing it off of those locations. So that face mill comes over one more time. Yeah, actually, so I don't have a lot of leather experience. I actually learned a lot from people down there, and they, like, so, and I learned from mistake that you can, yeah, so like if you have sharp edges, you can kind of create like a punch to where it's not really a stamp, and then it's gonna just be kind of cutting the leather. I was told that, so, because I have a chamfer on mine, I was told if that's actually a radius and not a chamfer, it'll leave better results and you won't be prone to cutting into the material if you don't want to. But again, I don't know how well this one shows. It's just the Tormach T. But that's what's essentially, yeah, that right there is just getting pressed into the leather. And actually, I'll go show really quick what I'm doing for that. It's really kind of low tech, but it actually works out. So I just got two pieces of material here, and I would just actually taking a piece of leather, putting it against the back vise, taking a stamp where I want it. And I was actually, you know, people were taking out their belt and wallets and doing this like to their own stuff. So it's kind of unique to be able to just, you know, make something. You could have whatever type of shape you want it pushed into something. I'm just using this vise. It's probably, you know, better way of doing this as well. I've heard that you can even just like hammer it and stuff like that. This is just what I've been using that works. So yeah, I just pushed it for a second there. Like, the longer you kind of push it in there, the better it'll kind of show up and last. But see if I can keep moving the wrong way. It's like a mirror. But yeah, other than being out of focus a little bit, it actually showed up pretty well for just that one little quick press. So yeah, just kind of a unique way of being able to customize some different stuff and being able to change it around. And again, we're actually running like 2 different shapes, so I'll go put the star one in right next to it and see if we get a different or better result with that one. And that's kind of the nice thing, you know, about if you have the machine and you can kind of prototype your own designs, where you wouldn't want to have to wait for some type of shop to come back, or, you know, do a whole bunch of different ones like this to try to find out which design works. That might cost a lot of money, where, you know, it's just a little bit of time to run out some different shapes and designs if you want to do them. So yeah, that's like kind of the star shape on the other side that we had going. Again, this camera's just not the best at focusing close, but oh, there it goes. Kind of shows up better there. So yeah, just some kind of unique little stamp shapes that we got going on. Then we just kind of got I had the MX. Just kind of put the MX logo on the back for something to change up from what we had in Texas right now. And then something that was kind of nice, something I had set up in the, so I don't really have set up anymore. You could just save, like, I was just like saving a face program like for my vise. So like I was doing some custom engraving over on the right side. So I just saved a file over there that would be face. So say I just want to like rerun the face of a piece of stock over there. So what I was doing some custom engraving as well. So you kind of, you know, you can keep that vise set up. That's the idea, is like your fixtures would be set up for kind of running lights out, and that op one vise would be set up for kind of like prototyping and doing, you know, different stuff on the fly. And the reason I had it coming in 2 passes like that was actually for like leaving a burr. So when I was doing just the facing of the square stock. And then what I had in there when I needed to touch off tools, or say I needed to load more tools to touch off. Oh, let me get my camera down a little bit more. I actually had the tool touch off setter here, where because I'm facing right here, this ended up being in the way and you don't really need it set, like, to stay set up in the machine for doing height offsets. You can kind of just load it back in, and as long as it's near this location, it's going to work. So I kind of just had that ring set up in there for if I needed to put my like automatic tool setter back in the machine. Alright, and we're going to just go run that op2 one here now as well to have that one done over there. So same thing, we're just going to do our file, op2, check that simulation really quick, making sure it looks right. Nice thing to be able to see. And we're good to go for that one. Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna do this while it's running. So yeah, and then we're just getting the parts out. Very self-explanatory. Be able to take those out like that, and same, got the part coming off. And so something like unique about the fixture that you could do as well is that, say, I could really just kind of blank out some stock, right? So give me a second. I could really just, like, even if I didn't want to do this shape or this engraving, I could kind of just pre-op the stock to where I have these tapped holes in there, and I could tap the holes all the way through like I have them, and where this now would be, like, I could kind of pre-op this to be loaded on op2 and run either thing on either side. So as long as I had like some type of shape there too, I could essentially load it from either side on op2 and kind of just pre-op a whole bunch of stock. I kind of pre-op a whole bunch of stock. Any questions, if you have anything you want to see in an upcoming video, we're also thinking of suggesting you try to help people out and get down, stuff that's relevant to what they want to see running. So if there's anything that you want to see me go into depth on, feel free to leave me a comment. Got a little bit more time. Going to do the engraving now. That little end of something kind of does that rest and seating, get those sharp corners out, get this corner sharper at least. And I think I had the fixture tray running to where I was getting, so yeah, about 12 parts, and I was getting like a whole fixture tray done like in an hour before when I had it set up running the whole tray. And also these fixture bars, because of how they're kind of designed, you could say, you know, you could actually like use something, or let's see if I can, like you could actually span like all four of those fixture bars with a large piece of stock if you wanted to, or even, you know, just something on the fixture tray, but say you need to get off the fixture tray to where you're not like wanting to cut into the fixture tray. You could even use those bars as kind of like sacrificial, like subplates. Put those down on the machine, even use like one in the front and one in the back, where you're only using like the two, but then you actually got like a nice span and support system for being able to like clamp a piece of material onto the table. And you can kind of design those, you can kind of design these fixture bars in a way that you put the holes and fixturing in them, that you can kind of add a hole to fixture to your need, but still be able to have those kind of like subplates down on the fixture tray. Got about like 10 minutes left in the stream. I'm gonna run a few more of these, but if anyone has any questions, I'm gonna go over, maybe open a few menus, kind of go over some other stuff if anyone had any questions. On the next one, try to get the camera in there a little bit closer. I want to profile and pass with no cooling. Get a little bit of a better visual of the cutting. So if you stick around to the end, you'll get to see that. That'll be on op 1. I'm just gonna, load another part over there for op 1. Get it to that adaptive path, moving nice and quick. Yeah, it's actually, I did learn when you're talking about cutting the leather. Essentially, the first time I did these stars, I went too deep on that, what is it, see if I can just zoom in right. On that inside engraving line on these, I don't know if it'll show up on there, but when I went too deep on that inside line, it actually turned it into like where it was actually like a punch and it was cutting them out. So I'm gonna pull that one out from after one here and get another one going in there so I can do the roughing and no coolant. Maybe even just open the doors for it. And I kind of just got my 0 for this first op, just as long as it's positioned essentially in the center of the vise, it's going to be good enough. So I didn't even really need a stop for it. And actually with those vices, how they're located, I actually can base the center in X. And I know where the static location is Y, but you would still want to find like Y, but the center in X is going to be repeatable to the fixture. Change my program to op1 here. Yeah, after this, I'm gonna run some coolant for the full slotting of the animal, but then once it goes into the adaptive, I'm gonna turn off the coolant and open up the doors, let it run. So again, if you weren't around earlier, I do the coolant onto the full side just because it's being aluminum, and if you get too deep on that depth side, it'll get a little bit gummy and bogged down in pool. I'm just gonna pause it for a second as it comes up in the air to turn off the coolant and open up the door. Turn the coolant off. Try to get a better camera of the ending here. with no more questions or anything like that. If anybody doesn't have any suggestions for the next video, you're going to be ending this shortly here. So great to get all the tuned in. Until next time, have fun making chips.